Hello, my name is Nick Steiner. I'm a rangeland management specialist on the Malheur National Forest. Today I'm going to be talking about the Camp Lick project area and some of the rangeland resources within it. Starting with a little bit introduction and history, livestock raising and management has been an integral industry in the state since it was established, the state, in 1859. Livestock grazing has been part of the landscape on the Malheur Forest since about the 1860s, and it remains an essential part of the economy in Grant County. Some of the timelines with livestock grazing: in the 1800s, livestock grazing was introduced. Mainly in this forest, it was primarily sheep. In the 1940s, we saw a shift from the sheep grazing to more livestock grazing on the forest. Mid-1900s, forest allotments and the grazing seasons were established. Between 1970s and 1980s, allowable use standards were first set, and we had improved grazing systems and pasture rotations. In the 1990s, allowable use levels were modified to better manage natural resources. And then again in the 2000s, additional mitigations and further restrictions to allowable use were established. Livestock industry today: the Forest Service supports livestock grazing on National Forest System lands. We believe livestock grazing on these lands, if responsibly done, provides a valuable resource to the livestock owners as well as to the American people. Today in the state of Oregon, cattle production is the largest agriculture commodity, represented about 15% of the entire agriculture sector. This sector, the agriculture sector, is the state's second largest economic driver and is valued at more than $5.4 billion. Not surprisingly, that large of a sector, 12% of all jobs in the state are tied to ranching, farming. Some of the rangeland conditions within the project area: in the 1960s, we had pretty poor conditions within the project area, with isolated areas of good condition. 1977, we monitored again. We have some upward trends observed, and then 2003 and 2011, more upward trends and more good conditions seen out there. Some of the riparian conditions: we collected data in 2005 and 2010, and we have seen improvement in 3 areas, which are all affected by livestock grazing: width to depth ratios, bank angle, and undercut banks. We also conduct annual monitoring every year at the end of the grazing season as livestock are coming off these allotments within riparian areas. Since 2009, we saw that all annual indicators for livestock grazing on steelhead critical habitat streams within the project area have been met. Additionally, in this project area, we have a document called the 50 Years of Change on the Range. It's a long-term photo monitoring document. We have 2 sites within this project area, one called Coxsey Meadow and one called the Camp Creek Wildlife Exclosure. Okay, here's 4 photos from the 50 Years of Change on the Range document. Our first photo in the Coxsey Meadow area is taken in 1937. As you can see, there's a incised channel and very little vegetation throughout the meadow. In 1965, the Forest Service placed debris inside the channel, and you can see we've got more vegetation growing within the meadow. 1977, more of the same. By 2009, we have a very well established and vegetated channel and established vegetation throughout the meadow. The other area for the 50 Years of Change on the Range is the Camp Creek Wildlife Exclosure. This exclosure excluded livestock and wildlife and was built in the 1970s, late 1970s. Our first photo is from 1977, and as you can see, there's very little aquatic vegetation and hardwood vegetation along the entire stream, which is Camp Creek. 1982, the photo's a little dark, but you can see we've got vegetation coming on, both hardwood and riparian vegetation. By 2009, in your lower right-hand corner, you can see in the background there the Camp Creek Wildlife Exclosure and the vegetation both along the channel and the hardwood vegetation in abundance, both within the exclosure and outside the exclosure. Okay, here's a slide of the allotments within the Camp Lick project area. There are 8 total allotments within this planted area: Long Creek, Camp Creek, Balance, Slide Creek, Dixie, Round Top, Lower Middle Fork, and the John Day allotment. The most significant on our list here would be the Long Creek allotment, with just over 70% of the total allotment being within this planted area. Next would be Camp Creek with just about 50%, and then Balance 23, almost 24%. Down the list, Slide Creek, Dixie, Round Top, Lower Middle Fork, and John Day allotments have significantly less of their total allotment acres are within this project area. Here's the current permitted livestock use by allotment within the planting area. Of those 8 allotments, we are permitting 2,902 total cow-calf pairs of livestock for a total of 17,000 540 AUMs. This is a significant amount for the entire Blue Mountain District within this planning area. Okay, here's a map of the Camp Lick project area and how that project area lines out on top of all the allotments. As you can see in the middle here, we got the Long Creek allotment. Like I said, the majority, 70% of this allotment is within the project area. Top part of the screen, Slide Creek allotment, Lower Middle Fork allotment. In the blue is the Camp Creek allotment. It's a significantly smaller allotment, about 720 acres or so, but about 50% of it is within this project area. Okay, here's a slide of the existing water developments on the allotment. These water developments are used both by livestock and wildlife, and I've got them broken out by trough and pond, which is a trough that is fed by a pond, and the pond is typically protected by a buck and pole type fence. Then I've got just ponds. These ponds are maintained on a pretty regular basis, annually or biannually. Then existing springs, which is not maintained but still used by livestock and wildlife, and then existing troughs within the project area. Okay, here's some general allotment management and some additional information that we have within the project area. The allotments within this project area graze at approximately 70 acres per pair. This is about 10 acres per pair more than what our district average is. Our district average rate is about 60 acres per every pair of livestock. The allotments within this project area, we have them on either a deferred rotation or a rest rotation. And what that means is, under deferred rotation, if we use a pasture from June 1st to June 30th this year, then the following year we won't use that pasture until July 1st. It gives it a full 300 days worth of rest. What a rest rotation means is, if we use that pasture this year, more than likely we won't use that pasture the following year. We even have some pastures we don't use for consecutive years within this project area. It just basically depends on the time of year it's grazed, which year it is, the conditions on the ground, and the allowable use for that year when it's grazed. This project is significant to the range program and the economics of the county as well. It includes the largest pasture of the largest allotment in the entire region, the Long Creek allotment, grazing almost 1,000 pairs. The economic input from grazing allotments in this project area is significant, and annually we anticipate livestock grazing on these allotments will generate around $7 million worth of economic input. Well, that's a pretty brief look at the rangeland resources within the camp project area. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my quick presentation. I know it was quick on the existing conditions. As with every resource, I could probably talk for days just about allotment management within this project. But I hope after watching this quick presentation you have a better understanding of the rangeland resources within the camp project area. Thank you.